morning when I was thinking about this last session, this has nothing to do with the session. We're on page 27 if you want to find it in your workbook. But I couldn't help thinking about, and I think I always think about this, the last session of Drive. 1991, my first trip to Willow Creek Church, working in Southern Baptist Church, a really good Southern Baptist Church. My first trip to Willow Creek, Wednesday night, midweek service at Willow. It was their leadership conference, but it was a midweek service. Bill Hybels spoke on leadership. Sorry. And suddenly there was a new category created for me. And I was so screwed up from that moment on. I really was. And I walked around that building and I saw those systems and I saw those volunteers and they had like cool shirts and they had cool music and it was just, I walked around and I thought, God, how do I go back to, I love my church. I work for my dad. I have like 120 people in my youth group. I'm like, wow. And I'm walking around that facility, that campus going, gosh, how do I go back? And then I did exactly what Bill told us not to do. Because at the end of the conference, he said, now, don't go back to your church and try to implement all this stuff. They're going to kick you out. And I thought, yeah, but I know the pastor of my church. His wife's my mama. Come on, they're not going to kick me out. So I went roaring back into my great but somewhat traditional Southern Baptist church with all these new great ideas. And they just said, yeah, whatever, get back over there and use the group and just try to keep it down over there. But you know what? I was so, honestly, I'm not originating this word. This is the word everybody's using. I was really so ruined. I really was. And about 2 years later, I had an opportunity to do something different. I grabbed a group of people. And the deacon said, Andy, it was kind of funny. They said, now we got a warehouse out in the suburbs. We're going to move the whole deal out there. We'd like for you to go out there and do kind of like an outpost church. We didn't use campuses. They didn't always talk about that back then. It was like sort of an outpost. We want you to kind of get it started. They said, now, we don't have much money, and you're going to be in a warehouse, and it's going to be kind of raw, and, it's going to be cold. And the more they talked, the more I thought, really? You're kidding. And so we went out to this very raw place, and after the first service in this very cold, raw warehouse with, the insulation you could see and scaffolding with speakers sitting on it, we walked out. I said to Sandra, that's what I want to do the rest of my life. I tell you that for this reason. For 5 of you, maybe more, maybe less, but for about 5 of you, these 2 days have been that for you. You're just so messed up now. You're never going to be the same, and you're not going to not be the same because of something I said or something we sung. It's just the whole thing is just like, oh no, I kind of wish I'd never even seen that. I kind of wish I'd never heard that. I don't even have a category for this. And you try to take everything you've experienced and you want to try to scrunch it down to your current context. And here's my advice to you. Allow it to ruin you. Allow it to so mess you up that you refuse to spend the rest of your life just playing at church, just kind of doing church and trying to keep a group of people happy that they've never been happy and they're never going to be happy anyway. But don't go home. But don't go home and try to implement a bunch of change. Just let it incubate. And then every night when you go to bed, you and your husband or your wife, or if you're single, you just say, God, something's been birthed in me. And let me be clear. What's birthed in you isn't go out and be North Point. That's not it at all. Something's been birthed in you to do something significant. And for some of you, what's been birthed in you in these 2 days is to go do something big. And don't you dare allow anyone to steal that from you. Because big things are good things oftentimes. Campus Crusade for Christ touched the entire world. It was a big thing that was birthed in the heart of Bill Bright many, many, many years ago. Don't you be afraid of big. And don't be afraid to dream, and don't be afraid to dream bigger than this, and don't be afraid to go home and say, yeah, that created a whole new category for me, but if it was up to me, here's how I do it. That's okay. Because one day I'll be gone. One day this church will be gone. One day all the leaders in this church will be gone. But somewhere right now in our current generation, there's a 25-year-old who's messing with the rules, who's playing around on the edges. And you come to a conference like this, and you're just thinking, I knew it could be different, I knew it could be different, I knew it could be different. And don't tell Andy, but I think I can make it even better. And I think you can too. And I hope that what's been ignited in your heart, not that you're going to go home and do what we do. You shouldn't do what we do. You should do what God wants you to do. But if something got ignited in your heart, and as Bill Hybels says, there's now a holy dissatisfaction, a holy discontentment in you, don't let that go away. Because I remember a bunch of years ago, something was birthed in me that so wrecked me and messed me up. But when the opportunity came along, and I'm telling you, the opportunity for many of you is going to come along. When the opportunity came along, I was ready. And I was so excited. And I knew it could be done because I'd seen it done at least one time. So my prayer for those of you who are in your late 20s and your early 30s, and those of you who are in your 40s, but you got the energy of a 20-year-old, both of you, I guess there's some people like that. Here's my prayer. When you go back to wherever you go back to, do everything God gives you permission to do. But don't allow your current context to squeeze the life out of your vision and your dream. Because we just sang it. God does beautiful things. And God does beautiful things from broken things. In fact, I think, to the best of my knowledge, every great thing, every great and significant thing that's ever happened started from tragedy or brokenness or something that went wrong. And some of you are in some very broken, it's going wrong context that perhaps God is going to pour new vision and life and energy into. And you're the one. You're the one. You're going to write the next book. You're going to build the next new church. You're going to discover the next new thing. You're going to be the one that somehow recaptures those that are on the margins of church, and you're going to get their attention. And don't be afraid of that. Don't let anybody steal that from you. We need you. Just perhaps like today and yesterday, you needed us. Now,